Welcome, my peeps, my peoples. Please like, comment, subscribe, share the video. It'll be greatly appreciated from the bottom of my heart, my peeps, my peoples. So let's talk about what's going on. It's Mary Jane. Let's talk about Ed Sheeran stealing music. Supposedly, he stole Marvin Gaye's music and, copyright infringements, and he needs to pay up $100 million. That is a lot of money. So why did he feel the need to just steal his music without getting the right release? Why didn't the record label, the record company do what they're supposed to do and make sure they had the clearance for it? Because we know Tiana Taylor, she said her album is late because she need clearance. And we hear other artists talking about they got to get clearance. I'm talking about African American artists. So he copyrighted Marvin Gaye's song "Let's Get It On," and his version of his song, Ed Sheeran, copyright was "Thinking Out Loud." And I heard both versions of the song. Of course, I heard the Marvin Gaye version years ago, and still listen to it now. But the Ed Sheeran's version, I listened to it sounds just like Marvin Gaye. That is the reason why he got 2 Grammys. Because back then they wasn't giving Grammys to African Americans like that, or even awards if they wasn't stealing their music. Especially the record labels and the record company, record producers, Hollywood. You get my drift. You know what I'm talking about. So he's being sued because he owes some money because he didn't get permission to use Marvin Gaye's song. I mean, the song is Marvin Gaye's song. It is "Let's Get It On." It's just slowed down a little bit, and he changed the words that "Let's Get It On" is thinking out loud. He's thinking about sex out loud. The beat, the harmony, just about everything sounds alike. I don't really know who Ed Sheeran is. I seen him on Game of Thrones. A lot of people talk about him. He's supposed to be a great singer. I don't know that. I wouldn't listen to his music. And I would probably never listen to his music. Only reason why I listen to the song is because this is a story. So I was just like, whoa, still today in 2018, black people can't have shit. They're still getting ripped off and people taking their money. Just like, Robin Thicke and Pharrell Williams, they stole from Marvin Gaye too as well. Got to give it on up. They stole a song from, Marvin Gaye. Like, wow, like you guys just steal. I was just like, come on. Like, we know this happened a lot back in the 60s, back in the 70s, back in the 50s. And it's just really sad that, still to today, we're not getting what we're supposed to get, and things are still being taken away from us. Even if we were born generations and centuries ago, we're still having things stolen from us. So that's the story. And then also, we're just talking about this situation. I was talking about Joe Jackson yesterday and how it was probably very difficult for him to come up in the music business, having his son being a black man, being in charge, being a manager, and just dealing with racism, especially back then. There's a lot of stories that came out, back then and then still present today that makes sense. Like, his name is Margo Jefferson. He's actually a reporter and a writer, and he wrote back in the early 1970s that he felt like rock and roll music, it was going to be taken over by the Caucasians, because he felt like when Jimi Hendrix died that the music was going to be taken over. And he wrote a long extravagant speech that was published, that was in the newspapers, and that was in magazines. And his nightmare actually became true, because rock and roll now is not African American music anymore. Music is music, for one thing, but the originators and the creators of rock and roll music were African American, were indigenous, were Moors, were people of melanin, and they still don't get their just due to today. And the people that benefit off of rock and roll music, they have generational wealth. These artists that stole from African Americans can actually, pass down their generational wealth to their kids, their great grandkids, and on and so forth, so well as the record label and the record company. And also, Margo Jefferson, he also mentioned in his speech that, he also pulled up Jimi Hendrix, obituary, and his obituary had said that, Jimi Hendrix died in 1970, and a black man alien in the world of rock. When Jimi Hendrix was rock, he was rock. He was an alien in the world of rock. He was one of the creators, one of the founders. He perfected it. And and that was written in Jimi Hendrix obituary. He was an alien in the world of rock. How could that be? How could that be so? How can they have the audacity to say that? But I believe Jimi Hendrix was assassinated for a bigger cause, a bigger purpose, because if he was actually living, if he actually had got the chance to live 10 years, 5 more years, 15 more years, rock and roll would have completely been black and there wouldn't have been no taking over of the music. And also, Bob Dylan back then in the 70s, he did a song, basically, an anti-slavery song, and an anti, against just the machine coming in and taking from the regular human being. And the song was named No More Auction Block for Me. And he did, and that was a great revolutionary song. People said, I never heard the song before, but it was by Bob Dylan, and they was actually saying that the reason why he put this song up because he saw the music, he saw things being stolen from the African Americans and from the black people, and he didn't want to be a part of that with the record label and the record company. That's what the article says. I'm going to leave some of the articles in the link below so you guys can check it out too as well. And also Marvin Gaye, they steal from Marvin Gaye all the time. Like, I heard it through the grapevine. They stole that song from Marvin Gaye too as well. And then they also talk about, John Lennon and, Janis Joplin, Elvis, just stealing music. The Beastie Boys, Bruce Springsteen as well. He stole music too. Elvis stole music. Hound Dog was stole from Big Mama Thornton and Led Zeppelin. They stole Whole Lot of Love You Need. They stole that song from Muddy Waters, and they also stole from, Chuck Berry. So many people did steal from Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry was, rock and roll, period, point blank. And it was just like, and the Beach Boys, they stole music too as well. Little 16, that was Chuck Berry's song. And also Michael Bolton, he stole, his song that he had was, What a Wonderful Thing, and that was actually stolen from the Isley Brothers as well. George Harrison stole too. He stole My Sweet Love. So there's so many different people that you'll see that's in the slideshow, names of songs where people just stole music from African Americans and got away with it. So in 2018, we're still having people getting their music stolen from them. So you can understand, like, these songs, and there's so many different artists. So many, they have Van Halen acts stealing music too as well. The Beatles stealing music too as well. But the Beatles said that they got their style and everything from the black man, and they stole music too as well. But the Beatles have generational wealth. Rolling Stones, they have generational wealth. And, the black people that was back in that time don't have generational wealth. Their great-grandkids, their great-great-great-grandkids, only thing they can say is, my grandparent, my great-grandmother, my great-grand-uncle was a pioneer in music, but they have nothing to show for it, but everybody else has something to show for it. So when people say racism don't exist, that's another form of racism. And if we're talking about music that was stolen from African Americans, imagine all the other stuff. Imagine about the inventions and things like that was stolen. So how do we ever get a fair shake? No matter how hard we try, no matter how much we do things on our own and we create things on our own, can be just taken and stolen from us, and there's nothing we can do about it. But at least today, Marvin Gaye's family and the other people that own the rights to Marvin Gaye music can actually sue for what is owed to them, because back in the 70s, back in the 60s, back in the 50s, you could not recoup your money. And a lot of this was also an easy way to steal music from black people and rock and roll too as well, because they had segregation, where you can perform at the same places, can't be in the same stage at the same time. So anybody can perform in music and nobody would know, because you have the white audience, you have the black audience, and they never mixed. So that's my story for today. Peace out. Much love to all my peeps and my peoples.